Hi, Global Teachers. Before we start our training, I like to share a verse, just a quick reminder of our focus is always in serving our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And so for a quick reminder, I want to go over the verse 1 Peter 1:13. Therefore, prepare your minds for action. Keep sober in spirit. Fix your hope completely on the grace to be brought to you at the revelation of Jesus Christ. So in this verse, Peter gives us three action verbs, three things we should be doing. Prepare our minds, keep sober in spirit, and fix our hope. And when we do those things and we are completely have our minds and our spirit and our hope on Jesus Christ as our grace that he gives us. I also like this verse because it makes me think of the strategy we're going to look at today about keeping our minds, preparing our minds for action. So the activity we're going to look at today, the strategy, is called a book walk. And so we're going to talk about a book walk, but it's really about helping the students prepare their minds for the learning that they're getting ready to do, what they're getting ready to read. Okay, so why would you do a book walk? A book walk is a pre-reading strategy. You do it before you read anything, any kind of text or book. So this pre-reading strategy helps prepare the mind. It gets the students thinking about the text they're getting ready to read. It gives the students some context. Maybe there's going to be a topic that might be a little confusing to them in the book, a setting they don't understand because they've never been there. The way to read the text might look a little different than other books. And it allows them to start making some predictions and they start thinking about the story. And so they're ready to read it. So what is a book walk? So book walk just takes about 5 minutes and you are doing just what it says. You are walking or flipping through the pages of a book with the students, and you would look at the text, you would look at the pictures, maybe make a few predictions. Like with all strategies using a book, it's really important that the teacher reads the book first and has an idea of what you want to point out to the students as you're reading through this book. Is it certain pictures you want them to notice? Is it a certain way the text is written? Is it charts and graphs? What do you want them to really notice about this book before they read it? So when would you use a book walk? So you can use it before the teacher reads a book to the class. So if you're getting ready to read that special library book that you brought in for your students, you could do a book walk through the book with them. It can be a library fiction book. It can be a nonfiction book. It can be those leveled readers. It can even be your textbook, your science book before you start a new chapter. It can also be done before the class reads a book together. Maybe it's a leveled reader and everyone has a copy or every other one has a copy, and you want to walk through it before you hand it out to the students. Or it can be that you want to do a book walk and then you're going to give the students the chance to read the book silently or the piece of text silently, but it's before reading anything. So how do you use a book walk? So often when teachers read library books, I've got a book, let me show you. When teachers hold a book like this, and to do a book walk before you read it to your students, you would just walk through it. You would flip and show them pages. If you have a document camera, I highly recommend that. It makes it much easier for the students to see the book, see the pictures and the text. If the students all have a copy of the text, like those leveled readers, then you could go through it together and the teacher could say, let's all look at the front cover. What do we see? Let's turn to page 1. I will caution on this. Before you do it with the students where they have a copy in their hands, I would do a book walk 2 or 3 times with just the teacher having a copy, and that way the students understand what a book walk is. Okay, so now we're going to do a book walk through the donkey egg. Okay, so let's do a book walk with the donkey egg. Now, as I mentioned before, you could do a book walk when you're holding a book in front of your chest, in front of your class, so that they can see the book as the entire class. I am doing it with a document camera. So if your document camera is connected to a projector, then your students would be seeing what you're seeing on the board. So that's why it makes it easier if you have a document camera. So I'm going to do the book walk. I have read this book. I have chosen some skills I want my students to really be aware of in this book. So here's what I would do. I'd say, okay, boys and girls, we're going to read The Donkey Egg, but before we read it, we're going to do a quick book walk, which means we're going to go through the pictures and the book quickly, kind of walking our way through it and have an idea of what the story is going to be about. So the first thing we look at in our book walk is our title. It says The Donkey Egg. What do you think about that title? Does anybody have any comments about the title? Yes, I do not see a donkey in the pictures either. I see 2 animals. This one is a bear, right? Do we have bears in our country? I don't believe we do. You are correct. Bears are found in other countries like the United States or Canada. Those are the places you would find a bear. What is this animal? It's a rabbit. In our story, they're going to call this by a different name. Instead of rabbit, what else can this animal be called? No one knows? It can also be called a hare. It's not spelled, and teachers, I would probably write on the board H-A-I-R and H-A-R-E. But that was something I wanted the students to be clear when we read it, what a hare is. That might not be a word they're familiar with. Very good. The Donkey Egg. Anything else about this title? You don't think donkeys have eggs? No, I don't think I do either. But I do see this on the picture and it makes me wonder. So teachers, I'm doing a think aloud. As I'm looking at this picture, I'm thinking, what is this? And I have a few ideas I'm beginning to predict in my mind as to what this is. So let's go through the book. We see here bear, and then there's this big, long words. Now, teachers, this is what I wanted to point out to the kids, that sometimes that there are these long things. So boys and girls, this goes G-R-R-R-R-Z-Z-Z-Z-Z. How do you think we'd say that? Grr, z, maybe. What does Z-Z-Z normally stand for? Yes, it stands for sleeping. So anytime you see ZZZ, that would be a sleeping, like a snoring sound, I guess. So that's what he's doing. What does that make you think about Bear? That he's maybe lazy? Could be, doing a lot of sleeping. So on this page, we have Fox, and we have what we believe is the donkey egg right here. Very good. Okay, so sometimes in this book we will see these big words written. When I see big words like that, I think loud. It's got an exclamation point, and this would be ta-da, like you've shown something. And look, he's even doing kind of a motion that looks like ta-da. And look at him on this page. Oh, I see if I can see. Yeah, there are some other big words on here. Those are kind of fun, aren't they? Oh, lots of animals here. Why do you think all these animals are on here? You think they all have eggs? Maybe so. That could be it. Good prediction. And then we would continue to flip through the book, teachers. I'm not going to do all of it. Oh, I did want to point out this to the students. I would say, boys and girls, see this box right here? It says, did you know? 1 minute, 60 seconds. So these boxes are going to have some facts. They're not part of the story. So when we read this together, we are not going to read these boxes yet. It'll be important to come back later and look at them, but they don't affect the story. They're just some interesting facts that the author decided to put in for us. So I see Bear with his donkey egg. This is the Hare and Bear. Very good. Now notice this word right here. It is the word, excuse me, it is the word screeched, but they've stretched it out. So how would we say that? Very good. Screeched. So they've drawn it out, putting these little hyphens between it. Very good. Okay, so teachers, I would go ahead and point those things out, talking to them about a few things, but this was mostly what I wanted to point out, how to read it. And these boxes, I wanted to point them out. So I read through it. I probably would point out this poem too, because it's in there fairly often. But I'm going to skip ahead, and I want you to notice when I get right here, I have a sticky note that says stop, because I wanted to remind myself, do not go on a book walk past this page. Now, that doesn't always happen, but in this case, the prediction is given away after this page, and I don't want the students to see it. So I would probably say, boys and girls, we're going to stop here because some exciting things happen at the end of the story, and I want you to be surprised. And that kind of gives the students even a little more reason to read the book. And of course, it's that the donkey's egg breaks open, and it wasn't a donkey's egg, but it does have an interesting ending to it. So a book walk. You could see how you could do this with nonfiction, pointing out the tables and the graphs, the things you want them to be aware of before they read it. A science textbook, maybe read each of the headings, talk about what they already know about this topic, look at the graphs, and be aware of how to read those, making sure they know how to read them correctly. A book walk, a pre-reading strategy, 5 minutes, preparing everyone to read the text. I hope you have a wonderful day and enjoy those book walks in your classroom.